This is that wonderful divinity speaking, this form of the divine who's carrying all Godheads in his grandiose limbs. All worshipped eyes looked out through his eyes. And he's carrying in him this fourfold Godhead, an absolutely wonderful presence. And these two, the Godhead and Savitri, two looked upon each other. Soul saw soul. So he speaks first. We read last time how he speaks to her, and first of all he asks her, how have you done it? How have you managed to enter this world of ours? You've unlocked the avenues of spiritual sight and taught the entries of a heavenlier state to thy rapt soul that bore the golden key. How have you done it? In thee the secret sight man's blindness missed has opened its view past time, my chariot course, and death, my tunnel which I drive through life to reach my unseen distances of bliss. I am the hushed search of the jealous gods, pursuing my wisdom's vast mysterious work, seized in the thousand meeting ways of heaven. I am the beauty of the unveiled ray, drawing through the deep roads of the infinite night, the unconquerable pilgrim soul of earth, beneath the flaring torches of the stars. I am the inviolable ecstasy. They who have looked on me shall grieve no more. The eyes that live in night shall see my form. On the pale shores of foaming, steely straits that flow beneath a grey, tormented sky, two powers from one original ecstasy born pace near but parted in the life of man. One leans to earth, the other yearns to the skies. Heaven in its rapture dreams of perfect earth. Earth in its sorrow dreams of perfect heaven. The two, longing to join, yet walk apart, idly divided by their vain conceits. They are kept from their oneness by enchanted fears, sundered mysteriously by miles of thought. They gaze across the silent gulfs of sleep. Or, side by side, reclined upon my vasts, like bride and bridegroom magically divorced, they wake to yearn, but never can they clasp, while thinly flickering hesitates uncrossed between the lovers on their nuptial couch, the shadowy eidolon of a sword. But when the phantom flame edge fails undone, then never more can space or time divide the lover from the loved. Space shall draw back her great translucent curtain. Time shall be the quivering of the Spirit's endless bliss. Attend that moment of celestial fate. Meanwhile, you too shall serve the dual law, which only now the scouts of vision glimpse, who, pressing through the forest of their thoughts, have found the narrow bridges of the gods. Wait, patient, of the brittle bars of form, making division your delightful means of happy oneness, rapturously enhanced by attraction in the throbbing air between. Yet, if thou wouldst abandon the vexed world, careless of the dark moan of things below, tread down the isthmus, overleap the flood, cancel thy contract with the laboring force, renounce the tie that joins thee to earth kind, cast off thy sympathy with mortal hearts. Arise, vindicate thy spirit's conquered right, relinquishing thy charge of transient breath, under the cold gaze of the indifferent stars, leaving thy borrowed body on the sod. Ascend, O soul, into thy blissful home. Here in the playground of the eternal child, or in domains the wise immortals tread, roam with thy comrade's splendor under skies spiritual, lit by an unsetting sun. As Godheads live, who care not for the world and share not in the toil of nature's powers. Absorbed in their self-ecstasy they dwell. Cast off the ambiguous myth of earth's desire. O immortal, to felicity arise. Maybe we start this side, Suresh.
In thee the secret sight man's blindness is. This is correct?
Opened, yes, yes.
Has opened its view past time my chariot course, and there my tunnel which I drive through life to reach my unseen distance of bliss.
Yes, he's congratulating her. You have done something that nobody else has done, or very few people. He says, in thee, Savitri, in you, he's using this intimate tu form, the second person singular. In thee, Savitri, the secret sight that man's blindness has missed has opened its view. That subtle sight which can see the truth of things, not only the surface. He says human beings are blind because they see only the surfaces. We don't see into the truth of things, no? But he says your eyes have opened. You can see, no? You have seen past this veil of time. Time is one of the appearances that we experience in this world. No, we can't imagine life without time. We are so used to it. He says time is his chariot course. It's like the track, the racing track, where he drives his chariot. The Lord is driving his chariot through time. That is his course. And he says, you've opened your view, your sight, beyond death. Usually human beings see death as the end. They can't see beyond that. We may imagine all kinds of things. But he says, you have opened your view beyond death, which is my tunnel. I drive a tunnel. You know, when we build a new railway line or a new road through the mountains, we have to drive a tunnel through. He says, death is like a tunnel through life, which I've made in order to reach, so that it's possible to reach my unseen distances of bliss. If we want to reach his unseen distances of bliss, we can do it when we leave our bodies. No? Better.
I am the hushed search of the dreamless gods, pursuing my wisdom's vast mysterious work, seized in the thousand meeting ways of heaven.
I am the hushed search of the jealous gods. I think he means that even the gods are trying to reach him. And those gods are jealous of what he can do. They try to pursue, they try to catch up with my wisdom's vast, mysterious work, the work I can do with my sublime wisdom. And that wisdom can be caught in the thousand meeting ways of heaven. There are so many different paths which meet on those higher levels of consciousness. And there one can seize his wisdom and his vast, mysterious work. Supu?
I am the beauty of the unveiled ray, drawing through the deep roads of the infinite night, the unconquerable pilgrim soul of earth, beneath the flaring torches of the stars.
Flaring torches. He says, I'm embodying the beauty of the unveiled ray. the ray of divine consciousness and force and light. No? And this beauty of mine is attracting the pilgrim soul of the earth and of all of us earth creatures. We want to go on that pilgrimage and meet the beauty of that unveiled ray. So that's what is attracting our souls through the deep roads of the infinite night. Through all that darkness, His beauty is drawing us onwards. The soul, he says, is a pilgrim and is an unconquerable pilgrim. Nothing will stop it reaching its goal eventually. Even though it has to pass through this infinite night, and above it, guiding the soul, are the flaring torches of the stars. Those stars which we see in the night sky, they are symbols of the many truths. And he describes them as flaring torches. These torches are not flashlights. They're the old-fashioned kind of torches where you had a stick and some resin burning so that in the night there's a bright flame to lead you on the way. He said the stars are like that. They are torches showing the way through the infinite night towards the beauty of the unveiled ray. Yes?
I am very valuable, still they who have looked on me shall grieve no more. The eyes that live in night shall see my form.
Thank you. Yes. He says, I am the inviolable ecstasy, the intense delight and bliss which cannot be spoiled. It's perfectly pure and nothing impure can come anywhere near it. And those beings, those blessed people or souls who have looked on me, who have seen me, they will never grieve anymore. They will not feel grief or sorrow anymore. And he promises that these eyes that live in night, these blind eyes of all of us who live in the material world, we shall be able to see his form. And then he talks about two powers. Gangalakshmi.
On the pale shore of funny starry straits that flow beneath a great tormented sky. Two power from one original ecstasy ball. Pace new but parted in the life of man. One leads to earth, the other yearns to the skies, even in its rapture dream of perfect earth. Earth in its sorrow dreams of perfect healing.
So he says there's something like a sea that is passing between narrow shores, straits. Straits is where the sea becomes narrow. And when that happens, there are several places in the world where it happens. The water flows very fast, and usually there are dangerous currents, because the water on the surface, the warmer water will be flowing in one direction, and below the surface, the cold water will be flowing in the other direction. He says this is a place which is beneath a grey, tormented sky, a sky which is troubled Perhaps there are storm clouds, strong winds, no? This grey sky. And the shores of the straits are pale, no bright colors. The sea, the water that is rushing through is steely grey, dark grey, and foaming. On each shore, there's one of these two powers from one original ecstasy born. They are like twin powers. They're the children of one original creative ecstasy. And they are walking near to each other, but separated by these straits. They pace, they walk near, but parted in the life of man. So these steely straits perhaps are our own life. One of those powers is leaning towards the earth, and the other one is longing to reach the skies. So who are these two powers? Then he says it: heaven and earth. Heaven, the higher levels of consciousness; earth, the material, lower principle. No? Heaven, in its rapture, in its bliss, dreams of perfect earth. It wants earth to be perfect, and it wants to embrace the perfect earth. And earth, in its sorrow, dreams of perfect heaven. But they are separated. Sarojini.
The two longing to join, yet walk apart, ideally divided by their vain conceits. They are kept from their oneness by enchanted fears. Sundered mysteriously by miles of thought. They gaze across the silent goal of sleep.
Yes. So these two separated powers, they long to join, to embrace each other. But they're separated. They have to walk apart, no? But he says, what divides them? What is this narrow strait of sea which is dividing them? It's their own wrong ideas. They are idly divided. It's not something serious, really. And it's because of their wrong conceits, their concepts, their way of thinking about things. So they are not able to realize their oneness. They're kept from their oneness by enchanted fears, magical suggestions which make them afraid to meet, to come together. They are sundered, it means separated, mysteriously. We could think they're separated by this sea, but he says they're separated by miles of thought, these wrong ideas. So there they are, they gaze at each other across the silent gulfs of sleep. A gulf is a deep part of the sea. So it's a kind of sleep, a kind of unconsciousness which keeps them separated. That's one image for the separation between heaven and earth. And then he gives another very beautiful image. Alice.
For side by side, reclined
upon my vasts, like bride and bridegroom, magically divorced. They wake to yearn, but never can they clasp, while thinly flickering hesitates uncrossed between the lovers on their nuptial couch. The shadowy
eidolon
of a sword.
Yes. So they are like people who should be getting married, no? Bride and bridegroom. But by these magical fears, they've got separated, divorced. They wake up from their sleep and yearn for each other, but they never manage to embrace. They never manage to clasp. No? They're lying side by side, he says, reclined upon my vasts, my vastnesses. But between these lovers, on their marriage bed, on their nuptial couch, there's the shadowy eidolon, the image of a sword. There's an allusion here to an old story, the old romance of Tristan and Isolde, who fell in love but were not able to marry. But they had to travel together through the forest and even spend the night to sleep on the forest floor. So when they did that, Tristan took his sword and placed it between them. And as it happened, Isolde's husband, or the husband-to-be, came looking for them. He thought he would catch them doing some wrong thing, no? But he found them fast asleep with this sword between them. So he was very impressed by that. So this is the image, that heaven and earth are like that. They are like two lovers who are separated. And it's their own fears that are keeping them separated. Stretchko, would you read?
But when the phantom flame catch a stand, then never more can space of time divide the flower from the flowered space will draw back. Fairly translations contain them should be the growing of the spirit and the bliss.
And you can read the next line also, please. One more line.
Attended that moment of
celestial
fate.
His celestial fate. Attend that moment of celestial fate. He says at the moment, spirit and matter are separated. But when the flame edge, the ghostly, illusory flame edge of that sword fails, when that illusion fails, it's undone, it's shown to be an illusion, then time and space will not be able to divide these lovers, spirit and matter. Then this translucent curtain of space, which makes a division, a distance between them, that will be drawn back. And time, all of time, will be the quivering the blissful quivering of the Spirit's endless bliss. These two opposites will be, or separated powers will be united. He tells Savitri, wait for that moment. Wait for that moment of heavenly fate, divine fate. Kai, you want to read?
Yeah.
Have you got the place?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, you too shall serve the dual law, which only now as parts of vision glimpse, who pressing through the forest of their thought, have found the narrow bridge of the gods.
Yes. He says, wait for that moment, and meanwhile, you too, you, Savitri and Shraddhavan, you will serve the law of duality, of separation of opposites. And he says, now only the scouts of vision glimpse the truth of that law. The scouts are the ones who go out in front of the army to find out what is the terrain and what is going on. So it's only those few scouts, those explorers, they're the only ones who glimpse that law of two-ness. Means two in one, actually, I think. Those scouts, they are pressing through the forest of their thoughts. They are going beyond the mind, pushing through all these thoughts, and have found the narrow bridges of the gods, those narrow bridges that lead to another state of consciousness, another kind of vision. But he says, meanwhile, the two of you are going to have to serve that law of separation, of opposition, of division. Varadarajan.
Wait patient of the brittle bars of form, making division your delightful means of happy oneness rapturously enhanced by attraction in the throbbing air between.
He says, don't be impatient. Wait. Be patient. Don't be patient with these impatient with these brittle bars of form. Here we have bars on the window, and because we have those bars there, we can't just step out. If there's somebody on the other side, they will have to go all the way around and come in through the door. But he says these forms, these material forms that we experience here in our world, they are like that. They are bars of form. They keep us separated from each other. But he says they are brittle. They will break easily, actually. So he tells them that they have to wait. So meanwhile, you have to make division. This fact that you can only communicate and see each other through the brittle bars of form, you have to make that your delightful means of happy oneness. You can go on feeling your oneness, and it will be even more delightful. It will be rapturously enhanced. It will be made much more intense and delightful because you are separated, because there's this power of attraction which will be throbbing in the air between the two of you. What does he say next, Anandi?
Yet, if thou wilt abandon the vexed world, careless of the dark moan of things below, tread down the isthmus, overleap the
Flood.
Sorry?
Flood.
Flood. Cancel thy contract with the liberating force, renounce the tie that joins thee to a kind. Cast off thy sympathy with mortal hearts.
So first he tells her that she and Satyavan will have to remain separated. But now he offers her another alternative. He says, if you are ready to leave the earth, if you are ready to abandon the troubled world, vexed means troubled, and you are willing to disregard, to be careless of the dark moan, the moan of suffering that is coming from things below on the earth, then you only have to walk down this narrow strip of earth and come to the place where you can leap across that narrow strait. By doing that, you will cancel your agreement, your contract with the laboring force, the force which is laboring in earth since earth was made, the force of evolution. You will renounce, you'll have to give up that tie, that connection that joins you to earth kind, the beings who live on earth. You'll have to throw away the sympathy that connects you with mortal hearts, all these hearts that are under this, that are subject to death. He urges her to do that. Gumsun. The flood, I think that is these straits, this narrow stretch of water which is separating earth and heaven.
Arise, indicate thy spirit's concord right, relinquishing thy charge over transient breath, under the cold gaze of the indifferent stars, leaving thy borrowed body on the soul, ascend also into thy blissful home.
It says, arise, stand up, vindicate thy spirit's conquered right. You have done so much, your spirit has done so much, you have conquered the right to come to heaven. Do that, no? It will mean relinquishing thy charge of transient breath. You will not breathe like a human being anymore. This particular type of prana that is subject to death, which doesn't last forever. No? You will give that up, and you will leave your borrowed body. It's not really your true permanent body, it's just the body you've borrowed to live on earth. You leave that lying on the sod, on the ground, where she left it when she had to move out of her body in order to follow Satyavan and death. So leave it there under the cold gaze of the indifferent stars. They don't care. Rise up, come, ascend, O soul. Leave the body behind. Rise up, O soul, into your true blissful home. That's what he suggests to her to do. Who is at the back there? Would you read, Shamala? Yes.
Here, in the playground of the eternal child, or in domains the wise immortals tread, roam with thy comrade's splendor under skies spiritual, lit by an unsetting sun, as Godheads live, who care not for the world and share not in the toil of nature's powers. Absorbed in their self-ecstasy, they dwell.
Continue, please.
Cast off the ambiguous myth of earth's desire, O immortal, to felicity arise.
Yes. He invites her. He says, here, in this world of everlasting day, in this playground of the eternal child who is enjoying all this subtle realm, here in this playground of the eternal child, or in further domains, other realms, where the wise immortals are moving, living, you can roam with Satyavan, with thy comrade splendor, your soul and his soul together. You can wander, enjoy under these spiritual skies that are lit by a sun that never sets, an unsetting sun. You can live like gods, Godheads, who don't, the kind of gods who do not care about the world, who do not share in the labor and the toil of nature's powers. They live absorbed in their own self-ecstasy, the ecstasy of their own existence. So he suggests to her that you can just throw away this ambiguous myth of earth's desire. The word myth actually has two connotations. It means some story that goes back so far that we can't know whether it's true or not, and probably it isn't. A myth that has no meaning. But those stories that seem like that often have a deep inner meaning. He says, this myth of the earth's desire is ambiguous. We don't know what it means. Its meaning is not clear. It could be this or that or even another thing. We have to remember right back to the beginning of the poem where we hear that Savitri was born, she was compelled to be born by an earth's desire, the desire of the earth, a world's desire, compelled her mortal birth. So he says, forget all about that world's desire. You can just cast it off. You are an immortal soul. Rise up into the happiness, the peaceful, blissful existence that you have earned and deserve.
This night is also one of the powers, the two powers.
Yes, heaven and earth. No? Yes. Line 470. But I think it means not literally the skies and the ground. It means the higher powers of consciousness, higher levels of consciousness, and then this world of this universe of matter. They are like somewhere else Aurobindo's described them as the spirit's extremes. As heaven is one extreme and matter is the other. They are actually joined, really, by this golden ladder carrying the soul. The soul can move between them. But here the Godhead is pointing out, as Death pointed out before, that there seems to be an unbridgeable gulf between them. Here he doesn't say the gulf is unbridgeable. He says that it's conceptions, ideas that are separating them. And this can be overcome. magical fears, enchanted fears. So that's a good place to stop today. Next time we'll read how Savitri replies to him. In thee the secret sight man's blindness missed has opened its view past time, my chariot course, and death, my tunnel which I drive through life to reach my unseen distances of bliss. I am the hushed search of the jealous gods, pursuing my wisdom's vast, mysterious work, seized in the thousand meeting ways of heaven. I am the beauty of the unveiled ray, drawing through the deep roads of the infinite night, the unconquerable pilgrim soul of earth. Beneath the flaring torches of the stars, I am the inviolable ecstasy. They who have looked on me shall grieve no more. The eyes that live in night shall see my form. On the pale shores of foaming steely straits that flow beneath a grey tormented sky, two powers from one original ecstasy born pace near but parted in the life of man. One leans to earth, the other yearns to the skies. Heaven in its rapture dreams of perfect earth. Earth in its sorrow dreams of perfect heaven. The two longing to join, yet walk apart, idly divided by their vain conceits. They are kept from their oneness by enchanted fears. Sundered mysteriously by miles of thought, they gaze across the silent gulfs of sleep. Or side by side reclined upon my vasts, like bride and bridegroom magically divorced, they wake to yearn, but never can they clasp, while thinly flickering hesitates uncrossed between the lovers on their nuptial couch, the shadowy eidolon of a sword. But when the phantom flame edge fails undone, then never more can space or time divide the lover from the loved. Space shall draw back her grey translucent curtain. Time shall be the quivering of the spirit's endless bliss. Attend that moment of celestial fate. Meanwhile you too shall serve the dual law, which only now the scouts of vision glimpse, who, pressing through the forest of their thoughts, have found the narrow bridges of the gods. Wait, patient of the brittle bars of form, making division your delightful means of happy oneness, rapturously enhanced by attraction in the throbbing air between. Yet if thou wouldst abandon the vexed world, careless of the dark moan of things below, tread down the isthmus, overleap the flood, cancel thy contract with the labouring force, renounce the tie that joins thee to earth-kind, cast off thy sympathy with mortal hearts. Arise, vindicate thy spirit's conquered right, relinquishing thy charge of transient breath under the cold gaze of the indifferent stars, leaving thy borrowed body on the sod. Ascend, O soul, into thy blissful home. Here in the playground of the eternal child, or in domains the wise immortals tread, roam with thy comrade's splendour under skies spiritual, lit by an unsetting sun, as Godheads live who care not for the world, and share not in the toil of nature's powers. Absorbed in their self-ecstasy they dwell. Cast off the ambiguous myth of earth's desire. O immortal, to felicity arise.